If you're thinking about purchasing a home in the Northeastern Wisconsin area, one of the most important things that I think gets overlooked is the pre-approval process. And I'm super excited. I got a special guest with us today, Nick Wurzer from Nations Lending. I'm looking forward to diving in all about the pre-approval process. Obviously, me and you know it's important, but I don't think a lot of the consumers do. So kind of let's talk about, why it's so important and why it'll definitely make it a better process for you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I think the pre-approval is really the steps to buying a home, right? I think a lot of people think they want to find the house first, when really they need to make sure that they are able to buy that house first. So the pre-approval process is really the first step in wanting to purchase a home.
Yeah, no doubt. So what does that process look like, Nick?
Yeah, so you can start with your trusted lender, and you do an application, go through the process of looking at your income, credit, assets, are the main components. We look at what your goals are, how long you're going to be looking to live in this house, and we find the right fit for you. And then we get you pre-approved to a mortgage payment amount, which correlates to the purchase price. So whether it be around $300,000 or $400,000 or $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, we want to go through what your comfort level is and also what our maximum level is, so you're comfortable with those payments.
Is there any cost associated with getting pre-approved?
No, absolutely not. The pre-approval process is free, easy, and most importantly, I really encourage people to get out there and get pre-approved right away. It's never too early to get pre-approved.
Yeah, there's been numerous scenarios where we've helped buyers who they discovered that they had an issue on their credit report that was either inaccurate or they needed to work on getting resolved. And that stuff takes time. So you just heard that it is free. I think the next misconception in people's mind is that by going to get it pre-approved, it's going to hurt your credit. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very big misconception. Really, if you're going to get your credit ran by a credit card, an auto company, a clothing line, and you have your credit ran a bunch of times, then sure, it could affect your credit in a negative way. But when you're shopping for a mortgage, one credit pull from a mortgage lender within 30 days is going to be treated the same. So if you had 10 pulls from mortgage companies within 30 days, it really is not going to affect your credit. We want to promote shopping for mortgage with different lenders, finding the right options, and the credit bureaus have made that update.
Yeah, I know identity theft is out there, and I know you've run into some scenarios where people who have squeaky clean credit all of a sudden have to deal with identity theft. It's just another reason to make sure that you're doing this process ahead of time so that if an error does come up, because it can take some time to get those things resolved. You're really good at getting stuff resolved, but it still takes time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really have to take a look. And there were commercials a while ago that didn't know the credit report or didn't know something was on your credit. Make sure that you at least know what's there and that it's accurate, because we want to make sure that if there are any outstanding debts that maybe haven't been cleared up, we can take care of that. We'll dive in and give you a good roadmap. If you're not ready now, or even if your credit score isn't ready now, let's get you on the path to have you be ready for when you want to buy that house.
And because Nations has programs where if you do, let's say, have some credit issues, potentially, there's some algorithms and some programs that you have, or simulation programs where if you do X, this is what could happen to your score. And I know you've used that with a wide variety of people. And it's never too early. It's not that like, hey, even if you're 2 years or 1 year from now, but you think that there might be an issue where you need to have some help or some coaching, Nick can plug it into his software. And let's talk about that software for a second.
Yeah, so there's, not a credit repair, expert, but we have the tools that can get you on the right path. So there are simulators that will say, if you were to pay your credit card down $50 on a balance, what would that do to the credit? Sometimes it is just as simple as that. Is if you were to lower your balance of your credit cards by X amount, your credit score can improve by X amount. And sometimes it is only a couple $100 on a credit card, and your credit score will go up 50 points. So it's really good to know that, and to also know which debts or credit cards to pay off first. That's also a very big misconception is what debt do I tackle first? So we can help you with that.
One last thing. I'm curious, how long does a pre-approval typically last?
So my answer has always been, as long as your assets, credit, and income do not change in the negative sense, you'll be pre-approved in the same route, if not for more in the future. The only technical expiration on a pre-approval letter is the credit report, which is good for 120 days. So that's quite a long time. And if you're looking into, say, a spring market and you're in the winter, go ahead and get pre-approved, get ready for that spring market. So when all those other buyers come flooded out to go buy the house in the spring or the summer, you're ready and you have a step ahead of them.
If you're considering purchasing a home in our area, we've got a bunch of other resources with Nick Wurzer explaining other parts of the mortgage process. Feel free to dive into that. And we'll have a link to his application process and his number if you want to get a hold of him. Nick, appreciate you breaking down the pre-approval process.
Yeah.
We've already determined that it's free, really doesn't hurt your credit, and you can actually plug it in if there were any issues to resolve those issues ahead of time. And then you actually know what you can afford to. So, Nick, appreciate your time today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Greg.